Welcome to Vivid Voices, an inspiring interview series and initiative by the FICCI Ladies Organization Chennai chapter, created to celebrate the diverse perspectives and experiences of changemakers and thought leaders from all walks of life. I'm Bhavana Sonthalia, and today with us we have Ms Mahima Poddar, who is the founder of the Kindness Foundation, which is a non-profit organization with a motive to make the world a better and a kinder place to live in. Hi Mahima, welcome to Vivid Voices.
Hi Bhavna, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me here.
So Mahima, knowing that you had a background in architecture, you were flourishing as an architect, how did you move to this Kindness Foundation? What was the urge to start this?
So the journey actually I would say started in childhood, in philanthropy, trying to do good. I would say my parents have always been those hidden do-gooders who inculcated in us to think about others before we think of ourselves. And I think that has been the undercurrent and the underlay of everything that I have done all my life. The journey from architecture to philanthropy and to being a full-time non-profit, founder of a foundation which does philanthropy has been quite an interesting one. From architecture, I moved into accounting. Actually, I was an accountant, tax accountant for a while, and I also dabbled in film and set design for a while. I worked in California and Hollywood as well. So I have, and then I had a boutique of my own where I was designing clothes. This was all when I was in the US. So after I moved back to India with my kids because I wanted to raise them in the Indian environment, I had this strong urge that life has been very good to me. It's always been a thing of taking from life. What do I do? I've always taken from life. So there is time had come to give back. What can I do to help others, to give back to the community in a way that made sense, was meaningful. So with my kids, we started doing a little bit more of charity and helping around donations and stuff. But over time, I realized that this was what my daughter actually is the one who opened my eyes to this. I asked her one day, we go around distributing food packets and this and that. What do kids really want? Shall we take chocolates this time? Shall we take toys? What do kids really want? And she turned around and tells me, Mama, kids just want to play. Kids just want to have a good time. Which means people are looking for happiness. How do you get that? When you give goods, that's not when it comes. It comes when you're being kind to them, when you're being nice to them, when you understand another person from the way they need to be understood. Kindness is not my version of what you need. It is an understanding of getting down to your level and understanding, holding space for you. So the journey kind of, moved from there, and then with my kids growing up and me wanting to see what is it that we can leave for the kids behind. The real inheritance is if we can leave a kinder world. That was a big driving force. So it was not an overnight decision, but over a period of time, it's led to that.
Basically, a ripple effect created by your parents to you and to yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you face any challenges in the beginning?
Challenges to get the foundation started. Well, definitely from my community, we are, our community is very silent in doing good. We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to announce, I've done this. We have this saying of if your right hand does good, your left hand should not find out. So that was a little bit of a hesitation that now you have to talk about what you do, which is not sitting well with everyone. But I had attended this conference called the Global Conference on Positive Change in 2017 in Amsterdam. And there I met this individual who, his name, I forget his name, but he started this suspended coffees movement, which literally is where you go to a coffee shop and you buy 2 coffees, one for yourself, and the second one is just a receipt they put up on the wall. And when somebody who's homeless or who, the economy was down at that point, they can come and get a dignified cup of coffee. And that movement just went viral overnight. Hundreds of thousands of people were following it and doing it. And what I found unique about the person who was talking about it was he was not talking about himself. I did this, and because of me, this movement. He was talking about the movement and how many people got involved, how many people were impacted, and that inspired me. So that was the shift. I said, what? Don't talk about yourself, that I'm doing this. Talk about the work that's being done. Talk about the good that it's doing. Talk about the impact, and that inspires people. So when you shift from, like, even with our foundation, we believe in doing the work and let the work speak for itself. And then, therefore, that was more comfortable for my family and for my friends, because nobody likes to talk about, oh, look at me, I'm so great, I'm doing this. So the shift to the action versus the person was what made it comfortable for everyone, and that was initially the biggest resistance that I faced.
So, since we are talking about kindness, I want to understand one thing. So, sometimes people, they are fearful to be kind. They think that they'll be taken for granted.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your take on that?
It's not just that they'll be taken for granted. People feel that, people will walk all over me. They say, oh, my profession, it doesn't work.
It's a weakness.
It's a weakness. And that's the one notion that I really try to quash, that kindness does not mean weakness. Actually, kindness is a strength, because what is the starting point of kindness? It's boundaries. It's boundaries, because you have to be kind to yourself first, right? And when you're being kind to yourself, it does not mean that you become a yes man. Sometimes being kind means saying no. It means saying no, not just to yourself. Sometimes, like, you're a mother, I'm a mother. Don't we know that sometimes we have to say no to our kids? So are we being unkind to them, right? Kindness comes in many shapes and forms, and it definitely is not a weakness where you're just saying yes for the sake of it. Just because you're being polite doesn't mean you're being kind. If you're being polite, you're being a yes man. If you want to say no but you're saying yes, then you're being unfair to yourself. So this concept of having boundaries in place first is a very large part of the starting element of kindness in itself. So when people say, oh, being kind makes me feel, I'll be looked at as weak and people will take advantage of me, then that's not kindness. You are being a doormat, you are letting people walk over you. Do not mistake that for kindness. You can be firm, be polite. There's no harm in saying no, just say politely. You don't have to get aggressive about it. But if it is not something that you can accommodate in your bandwidth, in your scheme of things,
in a situation like this, being calm can
you mean being calm?
Being calm is a needed to be practiced.
How do you be calm, but right? It's not easy to be calm if someone is triggering you.
Yes.
It's
what would the ideal thing to do at that time? How do you respond when someone is triggering you? Yes.
All right. So
how can we use kindness as a tool to be patient with?
So I don't like to say kindness is a tool for anything, because then immediately people start thinking you have to be quiet. Okay. Kindness does not mean being quiet. So let's take a situation where somebody who's being very aggressive is also being disrespectful, is being insulting. All of these three things are stepping over your boundaries, right? Because no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, you deserve respect. You deserve it. Everybody deserves it. And no one, no matter what you have done, has the right to cross that boundary. It's not okay to do that. And you are not under any obligation to sit there and listen to that. So it doesn't mean you walk off in a huff, but you can politely say, this conversation is not happening right now. Can you please take it up later when you're a little calmer? I'm willing to look at this conversation later. I'm willing to chat with you about this, but can we do it when both of us are a little more calm? And you get up and walk away from there. You are not obliged to sit and listen to somebody, doing their verbal diarrhea, firing out at you. You're not obliged to do that. And at the same time, it doesn't mean you have to give it back to them in the same way. Because if that's not who you are, if that's not part of your personality, because a lot of us don't like confrontations. Don't mistake that for being kind. It's just your personality who doesn't like confrontations. You don't have to sit there and take it. Revisit the conversation and people are calmer, is what I would say.
So my next question is slightly different and slightly related to what you just now mentioned. So what about the highly competitive environment? You want to be kind, you want to be helpful, but you also want to be competitive. So how can you practice kindness in a stressful environment?
So again, it's about boundaries, Bhavana. It's really about boundaries. And in a professional environment, again, there is no compulsion that you have to get aggressive and rude with someone, no matter what the scenario. If you are firm and if you are unapologetic about your being firm, don't start every conversation, everything is with, I'm sorry, but don't doubt yourself. Be firm. This is who I am, this is what I am, this is what I will accept, and this is not what I will accept. You have your own boundaries. Just like you have yours, somebody else has theirs too. So creating respect between people automatically means that you will not allow a certain scenario to happen. That is kindness. You can still help someone without crossing over their boundaries. They may not need help. Maintain the respect and dignity. That is the biggest part of it. To me, that is what is kindness. It does not mean just being okay with everything and everyone, no matter what they say or do. That is not kindness. That is literally allowing yourself to be a doormat, which is not something that is good for your own self-esteem. If it's not good for your self-esteem, then you're not being kind to yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there's something I want to ask you related to kids. Like, what role do parents and teachers play in fostering a culture of kindness amongst children?
You have to set an example. The saying, monkey see, monkey do.
Just like what you...
They are going to copy your actions and not just listen to you blindly if your words and your actions don't match. So before we preach, we should practice it ourselves and see how easy it is, what are the challenges that get in the way. But oftentimes parents ask me if there's one thing we can teach our kids on how to be kind, what would it be? Of course, it's not a magic switch that you can flip overnight. It takes years of practice for yourself and for the child. But if there's one thing you could tell them is you can tell them to start being a listener. Listen more than you talk, right? And when you listen deep. You're not just listening to the words. You're not just listening to the words or the content. You're looking at the face. You're looking at the expression. You're trying to absorb the emotion of the other person. Because we all know, right? Sometimes we are saying things that are not matching our internal landscape, right? There may be a whole turmoil inside, but our words and our face have to look different. Our tone has to not match that because that's what the society and the community expects out of us. So we can start, and kids pick up this very easily and very quickly. Where they, if you tell them that for the next 2 days, whenever you're talking to someone, try to tune into what they're thinking when they're talking, and what are they feeling. Is there a thought that's going on in their mind that is not matching their, what they're saying, and then have a conversation with them. Another good way that kids practice that is if you're driving in the car, start looking outside the window. You stop at a traffic signal, you see people on two-wheelers inside the car, you can see their faces. Yes. What are they possibly thinking at that moment? What's going on? Are they in a rush? Are they calm? Are they looking forward to something? And if you think they're looking forward to, what do you think they're possibly looking forward to? So that way you're tuning kids to start thinking about a human being's feelings and what is really going on within versus what's presented outside.
And that empathy also comes.
Yes, that is the starting point of empathy. Just being a good listener. You can't practice empathy. How do you practice empathy? Start by being a good listener. How do you practice being kind? You just start by listening more than talking. And honestly, this works just as well for adults.
Putting yourself in others' shoes and understanding.
Yeah, just start by listening, deep listening. Talk less, listen more.
And how about children being kind to themselves? Once I'll see my daughter, coming up with, I got only 1 star, I'm very upset. How do, it sounds very easy, it's very easy to deal with, a 6-year-old. At that time, we just don't know what to do.
Yeah, true, I understand that. Kids are very competitive.
Specific activities that you can say to...
Again, it's an example you can set. And you can talk to them about how, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have heard that in Japan there is no word for failure. Okay. The word for failure means opportunity. So,
that's very good.
Yeah, exactly. So if you feel you have failed in something, it's not a failure; it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn more. So to inculcate in our children that every stumbling block is actually a stepping stone. Right? What can we learn? Okay, so this didn't work out. What could we have done better? Is there something that could have been adapted better? Did we not spend enough time on it? Or did we put in our best effort, and if it still didn't work out, then hey, that's cool. This is our best effort. That's what matters. The effort matters.
That's where the acceptance of
because the effort matters, not the result. If you didn't put in the effort, then don't expect the result. So that's how I would do it.
Since we are talking about children, I know that you're also a child abuse and awareness prevention expert. How can our parents empower children on this?
On abuse awareness and prevention, it's actually it's like a triad, right? We have to educate our children to empower themselves, but we also have to educate the parents or caregivers, whoever's in the life of the child, as well as the educators. Everybody has to speak the same language if we want the kids to really feel empowered. Um, and the starting point of this as well is to teach, especially small children, teach them the correct names for body parts. We definitely don't want to give nicknames, especially for private body parts. We call each body part by its original name. Like we don't give nicknames to a head or to your heart or to your hand. Then even for private parts, we don't give nicknames. And the advantage of that is if there is a perpetrator, somebody who's trying to, act funny with your child, they will try to give nicknames, their own nicknames. And if your child does not have the correct vocabulary with you, or does not know that we don't give nicknames, they might come and tell you and you might not even know. Because a random nickname has been used, which is a very innocuous one, and you will not know what they're talking about. So completely doing away with using nicknames for body parts, private parts, is literally the starting point. And as with kindness, as with, believe me, anything else in life, also giving children a very strong sense of boundaries. Empowering them with the word no. Like no is a complete sentence in itself. No excuses required, no explanations or justifications required. So letting a child know that no, that you are empowered with it. You have the power to say it, and it starts at home, because you would find parent telling the child that go give grandma or your aunt and uncle and hug you, but the child doesn't want to do it. So the child has said no, don't force them. They have to know that when they decline something, it has to be respected, and that it has power. And the only person who can infuse and inculcate that power in a child is the parent. So start by not giving nicknames and letting your child really feel the power of no.
So, what other prevention strategies you've noticed is very effective in reducing the abuse?
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. So
the first one that you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. So from a parent's perspective, what else can they do? So you also help your child identify trusted adults. Because if you think about it, your child is not with you for a majority part of the day. They are either in a school or at a play date or at a class, and they come to you for a few hours, right? So it is important that your child feels that there is somebody, some adult they can trust outside of the house as well. So if your child is spending a chunk of time in the school, help your child identify a trusted adult. And the trusted adult is not just somebody the child trusts, but you also have to trust. So it becomes a conversation, and that adult can change every year. And after you discuss that, you should go and tell that person that, hey, my child has trusted you, and you are the adult that they will come to. Believe me, for any adult to find another child who's not their own, come and tell them that, I trust you more than anything else. It's like wearing a crown. It's a huge thing, and they will actually look out for your child. So getting a trusted adult in place, talking to them about secrets, what are good secrets and bad secrets. You don't keep secrets with your parents. A good secret is one which comes to an end, like a surprise party or something which is going to come to an end and leaves you feeling happy. Bad secrets are the ones that someone tells you, don't tell your mom, don't tell your dad, it's a little game we're playing, makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you feel yucky, makes you feel unsafe. These feelings can happen even with words. And when we're talking about good and bad touch, it's not just the act of touching, it's about how it made you feel. Because a simple touch like this can make you feel really yucky inside. So it does not matter where the touch happened, it does not matter what kind of touch it was, it doesn't matter what the intention of the other person is. The only thing that matters is how did you feel. And how we felt is important, it is relevant, and it matters. And a child has to feel empowered with that. Basically, a child has to get empowered with the feeling that if I say something, people are going to listen, my trusted adult is going to give it value, and I will be heard. I will not be judged. I will be believed. I will not be made to feel small. I will not be blamed for it. Because this is typically all that happens if a child comes and tells an adult, so and so, did whatever. Are you sure? What were you doing out there? Why didn't you go away from there? Are you sure? No, it can't be true. Don't make up stories. These are the kind of things, because it's usually coming from a person you trust or you both trust. So you'll have disbelief. That's not possible. It's not possible. They couldn't have done this. This is just not possible. So a child needs to have that confidence that no matter what I say, no matter what I do, my trusted adult, starting with my parent, is going to believe me.
So the confidence, the connection, the communication becomes the key.
Absolutely.
To address this.
Yeah.
So, Mahima, tell me, how can each one of us become an ambassador of kindness?
I love this question because what's the point of just having these conversations or listening to something that makes you feel happy inside if it doesn't translate into something out there? And oftentimes we don't know what to do, really. So whether it's kindness or it's child safety or empowerment, we have to stop thinking of ourselves as one unit, as individuals, but we have to think of ourselves as a community. And we have to look out for everyone around us. When it comes to child safety, look out for every child around you, not just your own. When it comes to our community and our society, we think of every individual around us, because what is the difference between me sitting here and that child who's begging on the streets, or that woman who's doing slave labor? What is the difference? It's just the accident of birth. None of us deserved this or that. So therefore, if we are willing to look past all of these social boundaries and think of every human being as somebody who I can connect with the heart, connect with the human being, what can I do for the person standing in front of me? We may or may not be able to change the world. We can't help the whole world or change a large community, but we can help the one person who comes in front of us, completely disregarding their background, completely disregarding their age or what social strata they come from. If there is somebody who's in need, and how do we identify that need? We start by listening. We really start by listening. So instead of doing armchair activism, if there's something wrong that's happening in the world that you feel strongly about, we can do better than just sit and have conversations in our living rooms, or cribbing about it, or blaming this one or that one. If it bothers you that much, how can you help? How can you go out there and do something about it? And believe me, every one of us has the capacity to do something or the other. Every one of us has the capacity for infinite good.
Basically, to think, what difference can I make?
What can I
just work on it.
Yes, absolutely. And start by listening and observing. When we do deep listening and observing what's around us, the ideas come automatically, and they come because each of us has good in us. That's unquestionable. Every single person has it in them.
My final question to you is, what is your vision of a kinder world?
My vision of a kinder, my vision is that of a kinder world where people are looking out for each other. I have a very selfish motive as well. I have 2 girls, I have 2 children who are growing up. I want the world to be kinder to them. And they are all our kids are going to outlive us. So we have created an environment where people are looking out for each other, where they're more empathetic, a little gentler to each other, not so judgmental to each other. Then I think that's the world I want to leave behind for my kids. It's not it's not the wealth. It's not. Education is important, but what do you do with all of that if there's just too much aggression around you? People are judging you. What do you do with that?
Healthy environment, basically.
Yeah, a kinder, gentler environment. I would say a little softer, gentler environment.
Thanks for your time, Mahima.
It's
great having you.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
Conversation.
And I love chatting with you as well, Bhavana. I think you had some very interesting questions that made me think deeply as well.
Very good insights to take back home.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
To everyone watching this, thank you for joining us for this episode of Vivid Voices, an initiative by the FICCI Ladies Organization, Chennai. We do hope that you found this conversation with Mahima as inspiring and as enlightening as we did. Stay tuned for more compelling stories and insights from remarkable individuals in our upcoming episodes. Thank you.